one of the things I used to say when I was a boy in Arkansas was, you know, that hurts so bad I'd make a preacher cuss. Well, did you know that swearing can actually help you with pain? I find that dealing with pain in many different ways, whether it's physical or emotional or mental, I find that dealing with it with great humor is something that has helped me a great deal. Some of you know I spent a time or two in a psychiatric hospital more than once over the past few years. I was diagnosed in 1993 with bipolar disorder. It used to be called manic depressive illness. It was a year after my brother's suicide and 5 years before my sister's suicide. It ran in our family like a Kansas tornado. But as I look at that and think about the things that I often say to my audiences, as I talk to patients or clients, as we call them, and their families about how to deal with mental illness, the best way and the best approach for me is to find it with great humor. I will tell you a quick story about something that happened to me this week because it relates to my granddaughter. I had, when you have bipolar disorder, you can't deal with a lot of stress, and things have been piling up since my surgery in June. And, you know, trying to live on disability and all that crap, you know, has been going on, and things just really piled up preparing for this. And I had a little break, and it's called a hypomanic episode. And it meant that my speech was a little pressured, and I was irritated and things like that. And when I realized, it was actually pointed out to me, and I realized it, and I talked to my doctor and did whatever I had to do. The thing that really brought me out of it was last night. Because I met my children in the city, and my granddaughter and I played on the bed while I tickled her feet with my beard. So Grandpa Dog is tickling her feet, and she's just dying, laughing, tickling, bouncing all over the place. And that, for me, just absolutely calmed me down and released me from that tension. And I went home, and I had the first good night's sleep that I'd had in weeks. Laughter. It is the best medicine. Myself emerged very slowly but very clearly over a 2.5-year period of time that began in the shower one morning in December of 2006 and ended on an operating table in Redwood City on June 8th of this year. I had a very rare disease that only 4 out of 100,000 people get. That's part of the battle. It's bad enough that you hurt like hell when you're physically ill and nobody understands, but try doing it up here too, and that makes it even more difficult. I had a letter to the editor published a couple of weeks ago in the San Francisco Chronicle. People were wondering why a 15-year-old girl was stuck in front of a train, the Caltrain down on the peninsula. One writer said, oh, it was the school's fault. Another writer said, no. It was the passersby fault. And I wrote a letter, and they published it. I was pretty good size. And I said, they're both wrong. It was the disease fault. A disease that people need to be aware of and be willing to talk about, and to seek treatment. Here's the secret in a nutshell. We cope with pain by becoming a better, more aware, and durable person. I use the acronym BAD, which is the opposite of good. B, better person. A, state of awareness. D, fragile but doable. I hope that anyone who deals with chronic pain may feel that they can share their stories, their tears, their anger, and their accumulated knowledge, as I'm doing in my talks and writing. I know that many of us try to remain quiet about our pain, not to bother our significant others, family, and friends, and that as a general rule, we try to avoid sounding like we are complaining. He said, imagination disposes of everything. It creates beauty, justice, and happiness, which are everything in this world.